What's up everybody? Welcome to my channel, and in this video it's going to be more of a story time type of video. I'm going to go over how I actually got my first virtual wholesale deal. I know there's a lot of people out here that think that wholesaling is something that's far-fetched, that you can't even reach, but with consistency, with building the right relationships, this business can actually explode. You can actually grow to a point where you'll be making 10, 20, $30,000 a month. So I thought this actual video would be so inspirational and keep you pushing forward if you're going through a hard time. So let's get into it. All right, so I know you saw from the thumbnail that it was $8,000 in 15 days. This particular deal was actually brought to me, this lead was actually brought to me because my JV partner, they weren't able to close it. So they wanted me to reach out to see if I could actually get the seller down on price and actually lock this property up under contract. So yeah, it was $8,000 in total, but we actually split the assignment 4,000, which is better than zero. Because a lot of people don't like to split 50-50, but you know, that can add up if you do it 2, 3, 4 times a month. So this particular lead, I reached out to them and they were interested in selling. They have multiple properties that they would be interested in selling. But this particular one, they were ready to get rid of because their tenant currently was on a month-to-month and they didn't want to renew. They were ready just to put that property behind them. So we got on the phone, we discussed the property condition. And while we were on the phone, I was actually running comps on the property, looking at the comparable properties and actually seeing what this property could sell for in tip-top condition. So this particular property had an ARV of around 115,000. My estimated ARV was around 115,000. So you can either use the 70% rule or you can use the as-is method. We were taught the as-is method. I also like to use the 70% rule just to see how close those numbers are to each other, the final numbers. So from what the seller was telling me, I'm running the numbers in my head, basing it off of square footage and the amount of repairs that needed. It sounded like this property needed around $25,000 to $30,000 in repairs. So at that point, I know that we would be able to sell this property at around $45,000. So if we could sell it at $45,000, that means anything lower than that will be profit for us. Once we figure that out, we came up with a starting offer of around $30,000. And then our MAO would be around $42,000 just to make something off of the deal. So when I reached back out, I told the seller that our price would be around $30,000. And of course, the seller went crazy. There's no way that we would sell that property for around that price. Which I said my JV partner actually offered around that price and it didn't go as planned as well. So I said, you know, I understand that the $30,000 wouldn't work for you. So what would be the absolute best price that would work for you? Meet me somewhere. Would you be able to meet me somewhere in the middle? So the seller actually said, well, I wouldn't be able to meet you in the middle, but if you can do $40,000, we can actually we'll sell it. So basically that would be $5,000 less than what I know that we can actually sell it for. So we would walk away with $5,000. So the seller agreed to the $40,000. Of course, you know, once we got that information, I went on and put the property under contract. And then I sent the agreement over to the attorney office. So it's an AB contract. I sent the AB agreement over to the attorney office and they opened escrow and started the escrow process. So the next portion of it is, even though we're in the virtual market, I sent someone that was local to the area that could get photos for me, and they took photos of the property to verify that the property was in the condition that the seller said it was in. So the catch with that is you need to make sure in your agreement you have an inspection period that allows you to go in and check the property to verify. So that was a sight unseen offer that I made. Once we got those pictures back and the condition of the property was the condition that the seller said it was in, we were actually able to go ahead and start pursuing buyers. So now we market for buyers. We use platforms such as Facebook to market for buyers in different real groups. So we scheduled an open house with the seller. So at this point, we had buyers show up to the property, and the key to open house is to make the other buyers aware that multiple buyers are interested in this property. So one, they won't try to lowball you, and two, they know they got to move quickly. So one particular buyer, we actually had one buyer that was interested in the property, and they came in at around $43,000. So in that particular scenario, we would only make $1,500. Never accept the first offer that you receive from your buyers, because they lowball you as well too. So we said, no, that's not going to work. We have multiple buyers involved that are interested in paying more than what you're offering. And I said, so if that's the absolute best that you can actually do, then I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to move forward. But if you do have a higher number, definitely let us know. We're making a final decision by tomorrow at 12. So that particular buyer said, okay, well, we could do 45. That's the number that we said that we can actually sell the property for. But then I was like, well, I don't know if that'll work. Would you be able to do 45,500? And the buyer said, yes, 45,500 would actually work for us. We can move forward. So at that point, to make sure that the buyer is serious, always get a non-refundable EMD. So if it's some mistakes on your behalf, then of course they'll get it back. But if it's something where they see your assignment, they see how much you are making, and they try to negotiate that, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, we already have your non-refundable deposit. You can either close on the property, or we'll just take it and sell the property to someone else. So at that point, we sent over the assignment agreement. They signed it, and they had 24 hours to put in their non-refundable deposit. So they sent that over. So at that point, I knew they were serious. So at that point, it's just a waiting game. You just waiting for the title to clear, waiting for the attorney at that point. And from there, we closed in 15 days on that particular property. Now, I said, you know what? We have this property at $40,000 with the seller, and we have a buyer that's willing to pay $45,500. Let's try a price reduction with the seller and see if we can increase our spread. So I went back to the seller and told the seller, you know, we found this and we found that going on with the property. We found that maybe termite damage. Looks like we're gonna have to replace the HVAC as well too. So I don't think that 40,000 number would actually work for us. We'll be ready to close. We have a closing date set. But let me ask you this, would you be able to, negotiate this number? Would you be able to give us a better number? Because like I said, the repair costs came out to be a little bit more. And the seller said, what number do you have in mind? My starting number was $32,500. The seller said, no, you might as well cancel the agreement. Then they hurry up and replied and said, you know what? I'm not going down that low. I'm not going down no lower than $37,500. So that actually increased our spread to $8,000. So I said that's going to be a little bit tight for us, but we'll see what we can do. So we actually sent the agreement, a new agreement over, got the lower price, we got the price reduction, and then from that point, that's when we actually closed and we made the $8,000 spread. So this actual deal, like I said, it was virtual. It was pretty simple. It wasn't a hard deal at all. And it just goes to show you, don't ever give up. Just stick with the process, believe in the process, be consistent, follow up, and let people know what you're doing, because once they see what you're doing, when they find deals that they can't close, they may come to you. And if you getting $4,000, and just say if you ran into this scenario 3 times a month, that's $12,000 that you can make just from doing JVs on side of what you're doing yourself every single month in your wholesale business. If you ever run into any issues with any deal that you may have, definitely feel free to reach out to me, because I have buyers in different markets as well too. So feel free to reach out to me, because let's get it sold. If you have an issue with closing a property, reach out to me. And if you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed this story about my first virtual deal, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because I'll be making more content about wholesaling and the systems that I use that you can actually use, and you'll see how I pretty much spend no more than $300-400 a month in just systems to generate lead, and you can spend less than that depending on the different system that you actually need. Some of the systems that I use are just add-ons to the business, but it definitely makes it easier, and some of them are crucial because that's how I do my marketing. But yeah, like I said, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe, and I continue to make more content like this, and I'll see you next time.